Today's exciting. Today, we're gonna go over something pretty basic to your experienced fisherman, but with the pandemic going on and a lot of people sitting at home quarantining, there's only so much you can do on that first week before you get bored and want to find something new to do. And that's me. I can't sit around all day long and just waste away on a couch. So today I'm gonna teach you how to get started fishing. Now I know with COVID going on, if you go into Academy or Walmart or Bass Pro, tackle shelves are slim, at least down here where I'm at. Everybody is kind of venturing into fishing right now because it's outdoors, you're away from people, it's fun to do, and a lot of people never had the time or the nudge to do it until now. So I get asked a lot, what bait you using? How do you rig your rods? Where do you go? How do you find fish? So I'm gonna kind of cover the way I learned to fish, the way my dad taught me how to fish, my granddad, the old school way of doing it, just to get started, just to get your feet wet. Because, I didn't start out chasing bass. I started out with a cork and a cane pole and a bucket of worms that we dug out of our backyard to go catch fish. And I think that's how everybody needs to start, and a lot of people do start that way. My dad and I'd go sit on a bank somewhere and in a shade tree and sit there and catch fish all day long, and I had a blast doing it. So I want to show you how I do it. Now take this all with a grain of salt. Fishing world, everybody does everything different. How I do it might be different from the way you do it. So I'm gonna go over the basics. That's, knot tying, rigging a rod, selecting your bait for what you want to catch, or a bait that can catch multiple species. Stick around, I'm gonna show you how I do it, and then we're gonna go out on the water and catch some fish with the exact rig I'm fixing to show you. Super simple, don't overthink it. First thing you need, obviously, is a rod and reel. This can be as cheap as you want to make it, or as expensive as you want to make. Personally, where I live on a 33,000 acre lake here in Mississippi. Every gas station here sells tackle, bait, and rods. They have everything that just gets you out there to do it. So you can spend $10 on a rod, you can spend $20 on a rod, $30. Me personally, I don't like to cheap out on equipment that I know I'm gonna use more than once. So for me, I'll make the investment. There's nothing wrong with buying that $10 rod, but it may not hold up as well as, the $50 rod or the $60 rod. It's all focused on your budget. Me personally, I try to spend $30 and up. It seems like that $30 range really seems to hold up pretty well. So selecting your rod, you have three different categories for starting out. You have your basic spin cast rods, which are like your Zebco, which is what I started with. But now I use either spinning reels or casting reels. Now casting reels are getting into a little more advanced. If you're getting started, I would highly suggest staying away from them until you can practice your cast, learn how to cast, be a little more accurate with it. But spinning reels, on the other hand, are a very good place to start. If I were to start now, I would start with a spinning reel, which looks just like this. This rod cost me $30-ish, $35. If you catch them on sale, you can get them for like $25. But it's gonna do anything you wanna do with it. If you wanna catch brim, bass, crappie, whatever, catfish, whatever you want to fish for, this rod and reel will cover it. When selecting your rod, you wanna keep in mind what you wanna fish with, or fish for too. So if you're fishing brim, bass, and catfish, I'd kinda stick towards a medium heavy rod. If you're fishing for crappie, I kind of go towards a lighter action just so you can feel them better. Crappie can be pretty finicky. For brim, bass, and catfish, this rod has been perfect for me, and this is what I suggest you get into using. Now, as far as your tackle goes, what you put on that line after you've bought your rod should come pre-spooled with line. Not all of them do, but a lot of the combos you buy will. So the tackle you'll need to get started, and again, take this with a grain of salt, this is how I began fishing, this is how I'm gonna teach you to begin fishing, is corks, or if you're northern, bobbers, some sort of weight, which is optional. Me personally, I like my cork to stand straight up and down in the water. And you'll need a hook. Now hook selection I can make a whole nother video on hook selection. I'm gonna show you what I use today. and you can kind of build on that from there. You've bought everything you need, but how do you attach your hook to your line? Now, there's a million different knots you can tie, but I started with the basic fisherman's knot. Super easy to tie, super strong, and it can apply to just about every bait you can tie on. It's really what all I use anymore. There's a few instances where I use a loop knot or a Palomar. We won't go into that, but the fisherman's knot is kind of like your all around. You know, if you want to tie on a hook or a crankbait or spinner bait, whatever you want to use, this knot will work for. This is the basic fisherman's knot. I'm using a very large hook just for ease of filming. With the smaller hooks, it's harder to see on the camera. So I have a piece of fishing line here. I have a big hook. You want to come through the eye of your hook and then pull yourself a good bit of slack. Now, this end right here, the end we're going to trim off, is called your tag end. The end that's right here is the one attached to your rod. So I'm holding both of those just like this. All you want to do is start twisting your hook. You want to put a good amount of twist in there, at least 7. If you don't put at least 7 in there, your knot will slip, and you don't want that. So I like to go probably close to 10, just to be on the safe side. So now I have a good many twists in there. I'm going to take my tag into my line and come through the loop we made right here. So I've come through that loop. Now, where my 2 fingers are, I have a bigger loop. You want to go back through it, grab the end that's attached to your rod, and pull tight. Now, we want that knot that's way up here to be down at the eye of our hook. So all you do is pull the end that's attached to your rod all the way down. Sometimes you got to kind of help it out, and it'll pull down. Pull it down nice and tight. Just like so. So now you're left with something that looks like that. And then you want to take and trim your tag line off. Don't trim it too close, but trim about that much off. And now your hook is attached to your rod. You always want to give it a good yank too, just to make sure your knot's not going to slip. Now, you've got your hook tied on, you've got your cork set where you want it, and you've got your weight on. Now, where do you go to find fish? Well, obviously you got to start with water. Look for ponds, look for lakes, look for any kind of public area that's surrounded by water. Now, once you get there, you don't necessarily want to just cast out and hope for the best. You want to target your fish. You want to target where fish like to be. Fish like structure. And that could be anything. That could be a seawall. That could be a boat dock. That could be a pontoon boat floating in the water. Fish love pontoon boats down here. If you get underneath them, fish go absolutely nuts under there. That could be a tree, an overhanging tree with branches in the water. That could be a tree that's laid over in the bottom. When you get out there, you need to look for that kind of stuff. Fish feel secure around structure. You got to remember, it's a hard life being a fish. There's always a bigger fish trying to eat you, right? So you want to be tucked away. A lot of times early in the morning where light meets a shadow can be a really good spot too. And also you want to look at your temperature. As the sun comes up and everything's heating up, these fish are moving out a little deeper to cool off. Early in the morning they'll be up on the bank, you know, feeding, looking for food, chilling, whatever. So pay attention to your temperatures too. As the sun comes up, those fish are moving off the bank, trying to cool off. Right now in Mississippi, we're gonna hit 100 degrees today, and these fish are gonna be dead on the bottom, trying to beat this summer heat, just like all of us are doing. Look for your structures, look for, you know, any kind of shade to where these fish will be hanging out trying to stay cool. Now, bait. Bait is one of the biggest things because this is what attracts your fish. This is what your fish is going to eat, and hopefully eat the hook with it. Right? So selecting bait, this can be a little tricky. There's baits that catch all, and there's baits that catch targeted species, right? This could be its whole other video. Bait is a whole open world. You never know what works for you until you try it. Today we're fishing with red worms. Red worms will catch anything under the sun. It'll catch a crappie, it'll catch a brim, it'll catch a catfish, and it'll catch bass. I personally like using worms over crickets and minnows. They work well. I use minnows a lot when I crappie fish, but it's the worms are less of a hassle. You go in, you spend $3, you get a little container of worms. They're in there, there's no mess. Crickets, if you drop your container, they go everywhere. Minnows, you have to keep alive somehow, especially in these dog days of summer. If they get too hot, they're gonna die and you've wasted your money. And dead minnows really don't catch anything but catfish in my case. Decide what bait you want. I like worms because they can catch a number of species. They're cheap, readily available. Every gas station around here sells them. And you know, when you get done with them, you can throw them out in your garden and they're good for your garden. Pick you up a can of worms and I guarantee you'll catch something on worm. Now, you're rigged up, you baited up, you're ready to hit the water. So let's hop over onto the boat. Let's go catch a few fish, shall we? Now when I'm putting my piece of earthworm on there, I kind of like to just blob it up all the way on there. You don't want too much hanging off so they don't steal it. And then just make a cast back where we were.
I've got another bite right there.
Oh yeah, it's full of fish over here. Serious. Dude, we are on. This is not what we come for, but still fun to catch nonetheless. Go, go. That's a brim.
Oh yeah, that's a brim way to
Freaking out. Jeez, that's a good one too. Now that is what we're after.
I wish I could remember
The good old bluegill. That's fine eating right there. Is that a fish? It is a fish.
Little baby thing. Whenever I was at East Central, my soccer coach he had a farm. Probably on a 20, 30 acre.
Take it, take it. I know you want it. Yeah, I know you hungry.
Kitties.
Oh, no, that looks like a bass.
That's a brim.
Oh, is it? Yeah, it is.
See the belly. That's a decent one though.
Yep. They're just so pretty. They're so pretty. Yeah, boy.
So I didn't know he was there.
Dude, those little ones are ferocious. Oh, and that's a pumpkin seed. No, that's, I don't know, that's almost like a cross between a red ear and a pumpkin seed. I don't know. Look at the colors on them though. These fish are so much fun to catch. Whoop. This is a tiny one here, boy. Oh, maybe not. Just a smart one. Yeah, that's a bigger red ear. And he ate it.
Grenade licks number 1.
Well, kind of falls into that category, but I don't know.
I've always heard grenade
There
lick.
he is. What is that? I just called it a turtle.
Dude, what?
Just called a turtle. He's just holding on to the hook. Oh, shoot. All right, somewhere in this boat is a very, very mad turtle.
He's right here.
Right away. Ooh. Very upset little fella.
Dang, that one's pretty.
Yeah. Oh, that one is pretty.
Look at that one's belly.
Wow, that one's pretty. And it's fixing to be pretty. I think I just caught the world's smallest largemouth. Look how freaking cool that is. I've never caught a bass that small. That's awesome. Oh, okay. What do we got here?
Oh my god. That's a decent catfish what it is.
No, that doesn't feel like catfish. That's another bass. I'm gonna lose my mind, bro. Oh, it is catfish. Didn't feel like one. What you think about it, doggo? Huh? What you think about it, doggo? Dad, I only catch birds. Oh.
Okay.
That's another. Oh, no, that's a good one. Well, I say good one. Good reservoir fish. I don't really know how that happened. That'll work. That's a wrap. All right, guys, we're back off the water, and I don't care who you are, going out there and catching a mess of brim is bring the kid out of you, man. I absolutely love fishing for brim. I hope today's video helped you get out there and catch a fish. If you did, drop me a comment saying, hey man, this helped me get out there and get started. I caught this, I caught that, whatever. I don't care. If you did like it, drop me a like and a sub. It really does help me out and lets me know that I'm doing a good job. If you dislike it, drop me a comment, tell me why. So, get out there, guys, catch a few fish, and thank you so much for watching. We'll see you on the next one.